Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another edition of Hurricanes Unfiltered. Powered by Come On Now, the podcast. I am your host, Rudy Rodriguez Show. Mod, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments. Let us know y'all thoughts. I want to give a shout out to our sponsor of the show, Natalie Lopez, attorney at law. When life hits hard, the law firm of Natalie Lopez hits back harder. She practices in the areas of criminal defense and family law. If you are in Florida, you can reach her at 954-888-8833. That's 954-888-8833. You can also reach her on Instagram at nat.guilty. That's nat.guilty. She is located in Fort Lauderdale. She will be here to fight for you. Thank you, Natalie, for your continued support of our show and channel. What is this video about? This video is about Ryan Day, head coach of the Ohio State Buckeyes. Yes, that's right. I mean, Hurricanes, as we know by now, are playing the Ohio State Buckeyes come December 31st at the Cotton Bowl. Yes, sirree. Can't wait. Just can't wait. There's just so much to say, but I just can't wait. Now, Ohio State has not played a football game since December the 5th, I believe it is. And in that time, December the 6th, pardon me, December the 6th. So it's been, by the time they play Miami, it'll have been 25 days since they have played a football game. Now, some people would say that's good. Some people would say that's bad. If you take a look at what happened last year, though, every single top four seed who had a bye lost, including Oregon, who played Ohio State in the first round as the number one ranked team in the country, undefeated, and got drugged by Ohio State, a team it had beaten in the regular season. And of course, as we know, Ohio State had lost to Michigan in their season finale, which prevented them from going to the Big Ten championship, which gave them some time off, but not that much time off that they didn't have some time to recover, get ready. And they played a first round game and, completely dominated as they pretty much dominated throughout the playoffs until they played against Notre Dame, which was a competitive game. It wasn't a blowout like the other games, but it was a competitive game. That said, Ohio State has been this year, cruise through the season and gets to the point where, they got to play in the conference championship against Indiana. And Indiana gives them a lesson in defensive line performance, stopping the run, and just played a darn right good game and beat Ohio State 13-10. Now, there are people that believe that Ryan Day was calling the plays in that game because offensive coordinator Brian Hartline has taken the job at South Florida. That's right, former Miami Dolphins wide receiver, Ohio State graduate who played at Ohio State. He has taken the job as the head man at University of South Florida. I mean, the guy loves Florida, don't you think? He play for the Dolphins. I mean, who the hell wants to live in Ohio? Sorry, people from Ohio. I know people that live in Ohio. Who the fuck wants to live in Ohio? Let alone Columbus, Ohio, where it's gray all the time. Like, I'm just being real. I'll remind y'all again. I went to Columbus. I was there for New Year's Eve in December of 2022. I was there when Ohio State lost to Georgia in the semifinals on that shanked field goal as the ball dropped. And Ohio State fans in that club just didn't know how to feel. Were they happy because they were drunk, or were they miserable because Ohio State had just gotten knocked out of the playoffs? I don't know, but I sure as hell had a good time. That was a fun day for me. But that city, Columbus, Ohio, respect everyone who lives there, is miserable, gray, gloomy, red brick, blah. I'm from South Florida. I'm from Miami Beach. I grew up on the sun, the fun, the beach, 75 degrees or more, 11 and a half months of the year. We get about 2 weeks of sub 70. Sometimes you get sub 50 for about an hour or two, but largely you might have a few days where it's between 50 and 60 degrees, and that's considered freezing down here. I don't get cold in that, but hey, some people do. It makes me put on a jacket. But Ryan Day in this game against Indiana, a lot of people who I have been told sent me posts of different people from Indiana. Where is my phone right now? Goodness gracious. Oh, found my phone. So here's some comments that were sent to me by Hurricanes fans. I don't peruse other teams' stuff. I don't. I really don't. I don't go through. I did watch Ryan Day's press conference. I did see the press conference that Ohio State's doing for these games, but I didn't really go through. I don't go through other teams videos and stuff like that. I don't have the time or the energy for that. I'm not here to do that. If they say stuff publicly that gets out, then I'll talk about it. But I'm not like digging through the stuff for other teams. I didn't do that for Texas A&M. I'm not doing that for Ohio State. But when people, Hurricanes fans who do go on these things, find some stuff and they send it to me, I'm going to talk about it. So here is one fan of Ohio State that said, Ryan Day was play calling the Indiana game. He was with the mic headset and play sheet in hand. Another one said, pretty sure he was calling the plays in the Indiana game. That definitely felt like a Day offensive coordinator game. Someone said, yep. Another one said, I feel like and they're talking about Ryan Day, the head coach. He called the Indiana game because it was just like that team up north last year. Run, run. Oh, third down and long. Guess we're passing. Punt. Rinse and repeat. Hope he makes me eat my words, but I'm not betting on it. Another person replied, exactly. Another one says, I agree. Someone says, the IU game was reminiscent of past games of playing too conservatively, nothing like the previous games this season. So, yeah, I think he was calling the plays. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people, Ohio State wise, that, Ohio State wide that believe that Ryan Day was actually calling the plays, and that's why Ohio State's offense stunk against Indiana. And that goes back to the year before that last year when they lost to Michigan 13-10 in that final game of the season, despite playing at home as a pretty sizable favorite. And the fact that this year, their offense, look, they're incredibly talented. Like, no one's going to deny the talent that the Ohio State Buckeyes have. They got a 5-star quarterback. Julian Sain might look like he's 12 years old, but the kid throws dots. He throws darts all over the field. He's a good quarterback. I'm not going to take anything away from him. Do I think he's an elite quarterback? No, I don't think anyone's an elite quarterback. Like, the quarterback play in this country in college football this year was not very good. And that goes to everybody. That includes Carson Beck. He's had his dudsy looking throws and stuff like that. And obviously he lost a couple of games this year, but it's not even about taking a dump on these guys. It's like if I compared just last year, Cam Ward and Shador Sanders and Jackson Dart, like those three guys are better than everybody this year in college football. Like, it's not even close. And there might be some other guys that I'm not remembering, but those three guys alone are better than everybody in college football this year. So when you have Dylan Gabriel, another one, so they were all better than the guys that are here this year. Like, there's no way. Like, any one of those four guys would have won the Heisman Trophy this year. Any one of them. So, now with Brian Hartline not coaching, he's still going to coach in this game, but Ryan Day is going to be taking on the play calling duties for this game again and for the duration of the playoffs. For the Ohio State, depending on how far they advance, obviously if they beat us, then he's going to continue to call the plays. But if they don't beat, but the biggest thing is they might not beat us. They might not beat the Hurricanes. They might lose to the Hurricanes. I think they could lose to the Hurricanes with or without Ryan Day, with Brian Hartline coaching place, because I think Miami's that good. And the dismissive nature of people in the Ohio State world of the Miami Hurricanes, these are clearly people who are not dismissive of the Miami Hurricanes. They're nervous right now. The talking in Ohio State right now is of nerves. You got players talking shit, running their mouths. And typically when you run your mouth before a game, it's to overcompensate for yourself because you're not in full belief of what you can do. And who knows why that might be, but there's going to be a number of reasons, including the fact that Ryan Day is calling the plays. Because when he called the plays, this team lost some games, man. This team could not beat Michigan for how long? And here we are again. They get to the Big Ten championship, and they have their worst offensive performance of the season against Indiana. Now, we all know that Julian Saint is not the same level of mobile as Marcel Reed, and Miami got to Marcel Reed 7 times. They had intense pressure on the entire game. Texas A&M's offensive line is largely considered better than Ohio State's. Just saying. And their defense, some Ohio State fans might sit here and say, no, it's not true. But I'll tell you what, Texas A&M's offensive line is highly graded and is considered one of the best in the country. So if they're not better than Ohio State, then they're right on the same level as Ohio State. Are they the same level of team? I'd say no. I think Ohio State's a better team than Texas A&M. I'm not going to sit here and act like they're not. But again, Miami was supposed to get beat by Marcel Reed's legs, not his arm, and he could not run the ball. And Julian Sain is not going to be able to run the ball against Miami. He's not mobile. Miami's defense is relentless. It's extreme. It's savage. It's violent. And if the offensive line for Ohio State cannot keep Miami out of the backfield, well, guess what? Julian Sain's going to have a long ass day. Indiana sacked him 5 times. Miami can get Marcel Reed down 7 times. And think about this. Marcel Reed coming into this year, into that game against Miami, had been sacked 10 times the entire season. Miami sacked him 7 times in 60 minutes on his home field. Like, think about that for a second, because that is something that you really need to consider when you look at the fact that, hey, yeah, Miami didn't just sack a guy that's hard to take down. They sacked a guy who only got sacked 10 times the entire season. And 4 of those times came against Auburn early in the year. So he got sacked 6 other times in 11 other games. And we sacked him 7 times in 60 minutes. Now, I'm not saying we're going to sack Julian Sain 7 times. I'm not saying that. But pressure-wise, there's going to be pressure. There's going to be, unless Ohio State's going to all of a sudden go max protection the entire game. Quite possible, in fact. It is quite possible. Are they going to move double teams over to Ruben Bain or triple teams over to Ruben Bain? Well, I hope they do that. If they do that, then those guys are going to fucking have dinner. But the fact of the matter is, there are Ohio State fans out there that are afraid of the fact that Ryan Day is going to be calling the plays. They're afraid of it. It scares them to death. Remember, this is a guy that last year they wanted to fire. Ohio State fans wanted to fire Ryan Day after he lost to Michigan for what, the 4th straight time? 3rd or 4th straight time? They wanted to fire him. And then he won the national championship. Oh, they don't want to fire him now. But get this really clearly. If they lose to Miami, you're going to hear those same people calling for his head again. Them same Ohio State fans, they're going to be calling for his head again. And there's a lot of pressure on him to actually call a good game. I mean, and when you're not doing it for a while, there's a flow, there's a chemistry, everything, the way the calls come in, etc. You get used to a certain guy calling plays. Brian Hartline is still coaching on this staff. He's coaching the wide receivers. Why the hell do Jeremiah Smith and Tate? Why do Carnell Tate and Jeremiah Smith need to be coached by Brian Hartline in the playoffs? Like, is he magically going to teach them something that they don't already know? I'm not saying that coaches don't have value, but if you're going to have him coaching the wide receivers, why the hell wouldn't you have him running the offense? Makes no sense. Like, people act like, oh, he's got other things in his plate. Like, what? He's coaching a team that's playing in the playoffs. Like, this whole mentality that a coach that's hired for another job as a head coach is not going to be freaking worried about, I don't know, coaching the team that he's still coaching in the playoffs and not going to have his focus on that is crazy to me. If that is the case, then they shouldn't have him there. They should not have him there. So the fact of the matter is, Ryan Day must have seen something from Brian Hartline that made him say, I need to take over the play calling duties. Maybe Hartline was distracted. Who the hell knows? But again, I don't see why that would be the case. Why would you be distracted when you're still doing your job? Your job right now is to call plays and get this team ready for a bowl, for the Cotton Bowl and the playoffs. And you're not going to be doing that. So your purpose is almost insignificant now. Now, Ryan Day also says, and he said this in his interview, he says, there's going to be a group of us. So are they going to have a group of people making decisions on play calling? Like, that's really crazy to me. Hartline, from what it seems, is usually in the box and Day's on the field. Well, Day is on the field now. He's not going to be in the box. So there'll probably be other guys up in the box who are telling Ryan Day what to call. If I'm an Ohio State fan, I'm nervous. I'm uncomfortable with that because that's a major shift in what a team has done all year. So one of the biggest things when people talk about Ole Miss, like, Lane Kiffin's important, but Lane Kiffin's not calling the offense. The guy that was calling the offense, who went with him to LSU, came back to coach Ole Miss. Like, yeah, you don't have Kiffin there, but you still got your OC back. That makes a difference. It makes it, to most people, that stuff makes a difference. And so, however they're practicing, I'm sure they're practicing fine, but when you get to the point of this point of the season and you're sitting here saying, well, all of a sudden Julian Saint's hearing a different voice on the earpiece. He's getting different cadences or whatever. He's different flow, just a different flow of how plays are coming in. It can have an impact. I'm not saying it will. I mean, I hope it does. I'm a Hurricane fan. I'm not saying it will though, but it could. And it could explain why Ohio State's offense was so damn bad against Indiana. Because he's gonna in 9 days he has to go to now assuming the 100% of the offensive coordinator play calling, and he hasn't done it in who the hell knows how long. I mean, play calling is a skill. It is actually a skill, and you're going up against probably the best defensive coordinator in America, who's going to have your quarterback running for his life if you make mistakes. It's crazy, man. And I know I'm yeah, I know there's concern in Ohio in Columbus. When you have fans writing this stuff, yeah, and mind you, I have fans of Ohio State jumping in my stuff and wanting to talk their trash and run their mouths. Hey, go for it. But I don't. But I'm fairly certain that most people are not happy that Ryan Day is calling plays. Heck, I'm sure they probably wish that somebody else would be calling the plays, even if it's somebody else on the staff, not him. Because I mean, if we want to be real about it, let's go look at Ohio State stuff over the last few years with the in terms of how they looked. I don't know when Ryan Day last ran the offense in terms of when he was last calling the plays. I really don't. If someone knows, put it in the comments. I'd appreciate that. But they had their worst offensive performance against Indiana, which is why people believe that. If you look at last year, they lost 13-10. That was their worst offensive performance. I mean, they scored that game where they only scored 21 points, and the game they scored 20. So, and then they did heat up in the playoffs. 23, you lose to Michigan. You scored 3 points against Missouri in the bowl game, the Cotton Bowl, in fact. They had a 17-point game against Notre Dame that year. Again, I don't know when he stopped calling plays, but it seems like they lost to Michigan every year in in the end of November. And that was also in 2002 when I was up there. Um, People feel a certain way about Ryan Day. I know this for a fact because they all wanted to fire his ass. So, you know, it is what it is. Y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Do you think this has an impact on their offense? Do you think that it can make a difference for the Hurricanes? Hey, Ohio State fans, are you nervous about it? I'm sure you're watching my videos. You guys love me. I understand. I'm lovable, man. I mean, I'm fun. I'm entertaining. I'm passionate. And whether or not you want to punch me in the face through your screen or not, I mean, you're listening. So let me know what y'all think too. I'd love to hear what y'all think because I know what I would think if I didn't like a coach. Like if you told me today that Mario Cristobal was going to be calling the offensive plays, I'd be petrified. I'm serious, and I'm kind of Mario's finally starting to grow back onto me, but we're not there yet. We're not there yet, but we're getting there because look, end of the day, winning cures all. If you keep winning, it is what it is. If you keep winning, it is what it means. Something finally clicked. Something finally clicked. And I know that Mario's not calling the plays because I don't think there's any way in the world that Mario Cristobal would have called as many trick plays as Shannon Dawson did against Texas A&M. That said, if you told me today that Mario was calling our plays against Ohio State, I would be doing this. Please, God, because I don't know what the hell he would call. He's an offensive lineman. We might run the ball 60 fucking times and not throw it once. I don't know. I mean, who the hell knows? And I don't think he would call them. I think they probably hand that off to somebody else on the offensive staff. But again, y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Don't know if I'm going to have some content coming up or not on Christmas. But if I don't, I wish you all a very Merry Christmas. I hope you have a beautiful holiday with you and with your families. And at worst, we will be back on December 26th. So y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. This is Hurricanes Unfiltered, powered by Come On Now, the podcast. Come on now.